Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast chat. And yes, there'll be two of these today. I have a client I have to work with at 5 a.m., so I won't be going back to bed. I need to stay up this morning. So I thought I'd knock a second one of these out. And something I need to hit home on, because this came up in a question in my comments. I had someone say, hey Jason, you're telling people that they are generally going to need to bulk to gain muscle. And for those who don't know what a bulk means that you gain body weight. In other words, if you weigh 160 pounds and you want to gain muscle, you're probably going to have to gain 5 pounds. You're probably going to have to go to 165. Probably have to go to 170. And in other words, in order for you to gain muscle tissue, you will have to gain body weight. You will have to gain body weight. And in some cases, to gain it at a significant rate, you'll have to gain some body fat. I'm not telling you to get fat, but gaining some body fat's normal. And at a certain level, you may even have to gain a pound of fat for every pound of muscle that you gain to gain it at any appreciable rate, and you just diet the body fat off later. Now, Greg Doucette is apparently telling people that you don't need to bulk to gain muscle. You don't have to. It's a bad idea. Well, the problem is that Greg doesn't practice what he preaches. He's not gaining any muscle. I'll get to that in a minute of why that's a problem. But, people say, well, why single out Greg? Well, number one, he's giving false information. Number two, I got really miffed at that Good Morning video that he did, and I knocked his dick in the dirt. Tons of people came in. There were people who said, wow, I'm a fan of Greg, and you pretty much destroyed him. You destroyed him. He came over to argue with me about it, and the guy is such an ignoramus. And you guys can go watch both of those Good Morning videos and look at his replies in the back and forth. Anyone who doesn't believe me, he is such an ignoramus that he could not even formulate a remotely coherent or cohesive argument against the points I made, because I destroyed him on it. He couldn't even create a counter argument. He just babbled and would change the topic, because he's basically a fucking idiot. That appears to be the reality. Because when they've had anyone who's argued with him has noticed this, he's not even capable of defending his position. Right? He's not capable of it. And we come back over to the bulking thing. He's telling people this. Well, number one, it's like, Greg, you've probably been enhanced your entire training career. You probably don't even work with drug-free athletes. He's been caught doping before. He's been caught on drug tests and been kicked out of events for it. I'm saying this as someone who keeps up with the research, and most of my athletes that I coach are drug-free. I have exceptions, but 80% of my lifters, my athletes, people I coach, are completely drug-free. Okay? And this idea that you're going to gain significant amounts of muscle without gaining body weight is not realistic. It is not realistic. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And we're not talking about ranked novices, because even then, a ranked novice can recomposition. Someone who's new to putting stuff into their body, they go to the dark side, they can recomposition. And you up the amount you're taking, you can recomposition. Right? No one's arguing these points. But when someone is no longer a ranked novice, or they're not at a high body fat, this isn't going to work. You're going to have to gain weight. And when you take a skinny kid, because that seems to be who his audience is. Greg has a bunch of skinny kids. If you have a skinny kid, let's say they're 5'9", average height, 5'10", and they weigh 160 pounds, they're skinny. You're not going to recomposition that guy. He is going to have to gain weight. He's going to have to go from 160 probably to 170 to gain 10 pounds of muscle. Okay? In his first year, he's probably going to want to gain 20 pounds of body weight. He may look leaner as a result, but he can't stay at the same weight. You can't stay at maintenance calories and gain significant amounts of muscle, particularly if you're lean. Now, if you're fat, if he's 25% body fat, okay, you can recomposition a decent amount, but you're still going to gain less muscle than if you just gained weight. It's going to be less. All right, and these are facts. This is stuff I have to deal with. I make my living coaching. I deal with skinny kids too, and they have to gain weight. I had one who he was so skinny, way underweight, had a 190-pound squat. We now have him up in the 300s in less than a year. He's put on 25 pounds of body weight, and he's still relatively lean. He's in an athletic body fat after gaining 25 pounds in 9 months. That's a hard bulk. Okay, 25 pounds in 9 months is a lot. The vast majority of it's been muscle. He started so lean that he tried at a certain point, he was stuck at the same body weight. We couldn't gain any muscle. None of his lifts would go, none of his 5 rep, 10 rep sets, anything. Everything just stagnated. No progression. I had to make him eat. Okay, we had to make him eat. He had to put on 25 pounds of body weight to make gains this year. Now he's a lot bigger, a lot stronger. Because out of that 25 pounds, I promise you 20 of it's muscle. He had to gain a little bit of body fat. But he's way more jacked and he's a lot stronger. Hell of a lot stronger. At this point, I think he's now put 140 pounds on his squat. Probably similar numbers on his deadlift. This is normal. This is how it works. This is what you have to do. And you have Greg telling people otherwise. It's like, Greg, you don't even practice what you preach. You don't gain muscle. People say, what do you mean? He's smaller now than he was a few years ago. Where's the muscle growth? Okay, he admitted he used a bunch of tren when he was powerlifting. Greg was at his biggest when he was a power lifter. He had the most muscle he's ever had on his body as a power lifter. Right? Then he got beat up, busted up because he doesn't know how to train. He relied on genetics and drugs to get some big numbers. Now he's too hurt to even train hard, train heavy. Okay? He's way smaller while still being on stuff. He admits to being on pretty, what I would consider to be relatively hefty amounts. Not really big, but he's on a pretty good amount of stuff all the time. He's a lot smaller than he was as a power lifter. So if he's going to say, well, you can do this, and it's like, but you don't practice what you preach, where's your muscle growth? You're smaller. So that's kind of the interesting point. He wants to tell people how to train. He wants to tell people how to train. It's fine. He wants to tell them they can gain muscle without bulking, yet the training he's doing hasn't gotten him bigger. He is smaller than 5 years ago. He is smaller than he was when he was powerlifting. Less muscle. His powerlifting training clearly made him bigger than what his current training does, or was it all the stuff he was taking? He's saying, hey, you can gain muscle without gaining body weight. You can gain muscle without gaining any body fat. Why aren't you gaining muscle, Greg? Why are you the same size? Why are you smaller? And again, people say, well, he could be right and just not be practicing it. That's okay. But if you don't practice it, you should probably say so. But when I recommend certain things and say, hey, this is what you guys could do, I'll usually let you know it's not what I do. I have some of my clients, some of my athletes do something. I don't do it because I don't need to. It's not on my game plan. But he does all this talk, tells everyone about how to gain so much muscle, but what he's doing isn't doing anything. He's not bigger. He is smaller. He has gotten progressively smaller from years ago. He's not able to display what he preaches, even on drugs. He's not displaying what he is telling you. And you know what? What he's telling you doesn't work, particularly for natty guys. If you are lean, if you're relatively lean already, you will not gain muscle without bulking. If you do, it's going to be such an insignificant amount that it's not going to matter. You are lean and drug-free. You're going to have to gain body weight to get bigger. Okay? And it is that simple. That is a fact. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.